discussants who are also familiar to you, who are going to be discussing and looking at certain issues as we bring them out. And from my far left, I have Ayodele Ogunle. Ayodele Ogunle is the immediate past Vice President of Ohaneze Ndigbo and also a public affairs analyst. Malami. Abaka Malami has insisted that the 418 million US dollars payment, he said that the governors originally created this liability themselves. Not just about creating the liabilities, they said the payment of the so-called money is also indemnified. He also described the governors as noise makers. The governors on their own rejected the Attorney General's claim and statement. They said they were ready to take every legal means to ensure the purported claims were litigated upon. Doc, let me start with you. We know the much talked about bailout fund, how it was reeled out to various states and, for payments and stuff like that. And, nobody knew when
this money, the IMF in particular, and other donor agencies, between the states, the federal government, and these countries. So I think for me, my take is that there's in law, we have an issue of contract, the privity of contract. That is, the moment you enter into a contract, you are bound by the terms of that contract. So Malami is legally right to say that since you people agreed that this is the percentage, what I was talking about is the percentage of the entire refund, which amounts to over $400 million. Since you people entered into that out of your own volition, that natural justice, equity.
Of that same amount. What do you think this money, was actually used for?
Well, Prof, thank you very much. When government, the central government and the state government, went into this memorandum, this understanding, I'm sure they spelled out clearly the terms, of the conditions, and should also be liable to fulfill all the terms to the conditions. I mean, talking about the state government, and one wonders why they are having this schism. So, but for all, it's also important to ensure that they stay on the same page, so that this money, because I'm too sure that in the course of governance, there comes a really come up, in terms of fulfilling the terms of the contract. And if the onus is on the state governors, this time, then they have to compel them to comply to the arrangements. So far, it shouldn't be something of a battle. They should find a way to resolve it and resolve it as quickly as possible, so that people who the donor agencies can also have what their principal and in turn use it for other purposes.
Okay. All right, Doc.
Yes, you were asking what these monies were used for.
Exactly.
I think that is a very pertinent question, because we have been hearing about bailout funds, we've been hearing about Paris Club refund, yet the state governments are still owing salaries, they are still owing pensions.
Exactly.
And most of the various houses of assembly are still called on the press, that is the fourth estate of the realm, to make the necessary inquiries. Let us know whether these monies were actually used for what purposes, or whether they are laundered abroad. Because the condition in the states is still something of worry. People are not very comfortable in the states, because most of the states are owing. So it calls to question that this the expenditures concerning this Paris Club reform should be investigated, including our agencies, the ICPC and the EFCC. They should go to work so that while we are talking of resolving the problem with the consultants, we should also be looking at how these monies were expended.
All right.
Funding to ensure that the salaries are paid, to ensure that certain infrastructural needs are met. So the government has not really shown a sort of has not been proactive, in managing this fund. Like Dr. rightly said, it's important to look into it critically and get financial monitors, like EFCC he just mentioned and all that. They have to find how this money was spent and who manages, who got what, which ministries, got what. It has to be clearly spelled out, So that's my take on that.
All right, Doc, looking around various states in the Federation, when we talk about these Paris Club, the Bella Fund and all this, do you think they've done well for themselves? And if they
dollars to clear the entire debt of Nigeria. So after the financial experts went into that transaction, they discovered that we even paid more than we were supposed to pay. So that return is the difference between what we were supposed to pay and what we actually paid. So what they are contesting is that why should this kind of amount be given to a mere consultant that facilitated this transaction? And I'm saying that in financial management and the contract of how was the main money expended? Why are the states still in the financial position? In fact, it was yesterday also that the 36 state governors went to Abuja, to the president, to discuss in real terms the condition of the nation. Financially, the nation is broke. That is why it has been very difficult to resolve the ASU problem. Well, what ASU is saying, pay us this, pay us this, pay us this. Government is saying there is no money. And if federal government is saying so, what about the states? Need to widen their base, their revenue base, because it is now clear that the money from the federation account is no longer coming, and NPC is no longer bringing in anything. We have huge fuel subsidy that is draining the nation. So from that meeting yesterday, I'm hoping that today, tomorrow, we should hear about something. The issue of taxing, maybe you come to it, may not even resolve the problem.
All right. Still looking at this, and also the difficulties in various states in terms of, okay, look at it. If you talk about 31 states,
they can't pay salaries.
That cannot pay salaries.
Yes, it's only Lagos, Kano, and the Rivers, and maybe 2 other states that can pay.
Do we attribute,
on the part of the government? It was like just like the penal fund they get is a supplementary thing. If they had a very good strategy on how to widen, their scope of revenue base.
I don't think so because their oversight function should include looking at how the executive is spending money. But I also think very deeply that we need to look at the cost of governance, because even the legislators, the houses of assembly mentioned now, they have also constituted themselves into a very big problem to the system because of the cost of running that arm of government. People were already crying that the cost of running the executive is so high, and that ministries should be reduced. If you have read the Onosode panel, the Onosode panel recommended that the ministries should be reduced, some should be merged. So while we are looking at that, you discover that the cost of running these ministries is so bogus. Then the cost of running the houses of assembly is equally bogus. And the members of the House of the Assembly have decided not to even do the function, lawmaking, oversight function. These are the two key areas to make sure that the act has checks to the executive.
While you're still on that, don't you think also corruption is part of what
that is when we say high cost of governance. Corruption is embedded in the high cost. There are a lot of leakages. So accountability and the efficiency has been very, very low. So when you have this kind of scenario, you are sure to get to where we are today. And we are now getting pressed to the wall. So it definitely, something must happen in the next few weeks.
All right. The federal government plans to generate revenue through 5% tax increase on data calls. It is talking about data, no matter where you are getting.
People in power has created. The policy has not really favored the masses. The rich are getting richer by the day. So I'm thinking that if government insists on taking tax, 5% tax from calls people make, no, it's not to the interest of the masses, whom they are supposed to assuage, and take care of. It is not also good for, government to be seen as, a sort of a sucker, and you are making taxation from instead of creating economy, growing the economy, so that there are other areas they can delve into, to increase revenue base and not just overtaxing the battered masses. So it is not to the best interest of the citizen.
All right, Doc. Government are meant to take care of the people's property, lives, and so on. At least make life a little easier for the masses. And when you talk about generating,
which that is making the call, but that is by the way. I think the issue there is government has been pressed to the wall. They are now looking for ways of generating more, and the taxes all over the world is a major source of generating income by the government, and it depends on the type of tax. So what I think is that continuous tax, recently they taxed soft drinks also, those soft drinks, they added the tax on them. I don't think that continuous taxation will solve the problem we are in. We must look at fuel subsidy, fuel importation. We must get money either to help Dangote to start refining, so that the pressure on our foreign exchange importing fuel, because this is to run well, become one of those who will be demanding for accountability, because your money is there.
Well, when you're talking about that tax, I will still want you also to elaborate it a little more. Who is supposed to pay a tax in a society?
All citizens. All citizens are supposed to pay tax, unless those who are forbidden by law.
And are they?
Yes. For example, if you are a retiree, the law says that you have contributed, you have paid your taxes all over the years, you are into a pension scheme or whatever. So if you are forbidden by law not to pay tax, then you don't pay tax. So which money are you talking about?
Yeah, I think before we talk about tax in any government, the government must have actually invested also on those individuals. Take for instance schools. I know when you have free education here and there, both primary and secondary schools and so on. So there is no how you can grow up and say you won't pay taxes, because the government has played their own part and it's left for you to play your own part. But what we're talking about now is when you talk about tax now, must government tax every person as small as call making?
No, call making is not small. There's this argument whether telephone is for the poor, but that's for another day. The type of tax I'm not talking about may not be a big sum of money. Some 100 naira payment is a tax. 200 is, it enables government to have data on the individuals. There was an example somebody gave about headers. I do a lot of populist things. Immediately he did that. You don't know who is a header again. You don't know who is a criminal. You don't know who is using cattle as a cover for this. In those days, you can say the number of cattle in the, because they pay tax. Now, why I brought that is to show you that the tax, for example, if in Abana, the whole people in this city pay tax, we can say that we have 2-3 million people in Aba. This is where they live.
You are already a mature person, you should pay your tax and so on. But down here, we know that at the age of 18, so many of them are still in school. Even in 18, some people are still in secondary school.
Then by law too, they are being removed. That's why I say tax is guided by law. They are being removed. If you are still in school, you are 25, you are still in school, maybe the university.
Even at 30, yes.
You are still a student. So the law does not require you to pay tax. But you can be captured as a student. Okay. Because one of the problems we have is that we have no platform where we capture our citizens. So somebody can walk in from Benin Republic, somebody can walk in from Cameroon, somebody can walk in from...
You can pay tax for data and calls. What about the tie and suit?
Yes, Prof. I want to, in some part, I want to disagree with Doc. Because I feel that some people should be given tax holidays. Some people should be exempted from paying tax. You know, in view of the way the citizens are being financially emasculated, you know, they have to be exempted, at least from that call they make. You know, there are other ways government keeps that. Well, I don't think we have a dependable, systematic taxation policy. By that, I mean that a lot of people dodge tax payments, and our constitution, unlike people buying goods, importing goods, you understand? I think this one is one tax too many. That when we make call, you take 5%. The government should seek other ways of increasing our revenue base. So that's my thinking.
So what do you suggest? What other ways do you suggest?
Yes, what I want, they have to strike that out. You know.
No, you can contribute. You can say these are other ways. You say people pay tax on goods and services, data. And these are goods and services.
Data is goods and services.
Yes, they are services provided by the community. Dodge paying taxes.
Yes.
And that many people should also be exempted. When you're talking of exemption, you have agreed that they should pay. But that they should be exempted due to one reason or another. Then those people should be on tax exemption. They should be captured. The problem we have is that this man is not paying tax. He is not exempted. He is not. You don't know where to find him.
He does not belong anywhere.
Yes, you don't know where you can place this individual. You said it, and we have always reasoned that common people should not always be on the street. Why don't you talk of common people inside a house? These are days. You have to common people. There are rich people that are on the street driving their cars.
It's true.
Or walking on the street, but people assume that the poor people are always on the street. Many of them are not on the street. They are hiding in one place or the other. However, that is not the issue. We are talking of that this will become an additional burden to an overburden people whose income is not high. Government should open up spaces. Open up. And there should be registration, house registration. It doesn't matter. But that gives us an idea of how to locate this very person.
All right, our wonderful viewers, we'll be going on a very short break and we'll be back in a jiffy. Just stay there, don't touch your dial or your remote. We'll be back. Keep watching Living TV and we'll be back. Remember, always remember to pay your tax. Pay your tax to help government to help you. We'll be back. national chairman of the party to step aside. Not just that, a lot of party supporters also agrees that if he steps down, that is the only way Nyesom Wike of Rivers State will be pacified. Why is Nyesom Wike this important?
Because he has been funding the party. When everybody ran away from PDP, we know, including this article, from the North. So you can't have the presidential candidate from the North, the party chairman from the North, the chairman of BOT from the North. So it's not proper to make PDP a Northern party, because PDP has always been a national party, right from 1998, when Alex Ekwema and the rest formed the party. So that has been the trend. So if he's insisting that he will serve out his 4-year tenure as the party chairman, then he's taking the risk of, one, losing some key members like Nyesom Wike, and two, not being able to carry everybody along. Because this thing started when it was agreed that after 8 years of Buhari, the presidency should come to the South. And it was hoped that since the Southwest had had their shot on the presidency when Obasanjo was there, that it's either now the Southeast or the South-South. And the South-South too has had their own shot on the presidency when Goodluck Jonathan was there. So the natural thing was to zone the presidency to the Southeast.
The issue of party wrangling and internal conflict, in the party system is common knowledge now. And other parties are also having their own problems. But in the case of PDP, the zoning issues, wasn't tackled properly as it should. And, going on now to 2023 election. So, and this is a fallout of all the troubles they have been grappling with, rather. So, the man should be allowed to, run his full tenure. And when it comes to another person's turn, let him take over. So, I don't know what they can bring up against him now, and that will make him irrelevant, concerning the position he has taken and his leadership position at the party. My take is that he should be allowed to run his
behind. And yet, they were not very supportive to the Southeast, because he was contesting for presidency, Wike himself, and so on. And now he wants that man, the national chairman, to step down, since a northern person had taken the ticket. Do you think this is nemesis?
Partly nemesis, because personally I was surprised to see that the Southwest within PDP, because the Southeast have supported PDP all through, right from 1999. We saw the time when Ogbonne gave up his ticket to ensure that somebody from the Southwest, when Obasanjo is coming to the South. Because it's when it comes to the South that you can do another micro-zoning to take it to the Southeast.
Yes.
So, but that didn't happen in PDP. The northern candidate took it. So, Wike is aggrieved, just like the Southeast is also aggrieved. That was what made Obi to leave the party. So I think everybody is now aggrieved. That is why we always talk of equity. You won't know what equity is until it comes to you and was not given to you. Okay. It is then that you can understand the pain. So he's not feeling the pain. The Southeast felt the pain too.
Okay, Ayo, do you think this is in any way going to affect 2023 election if this crisis in PDP continues?
Well, Prof, my take on that is that these problems has been created already, and they go through the whole hall and just have an election, because they cannot come now to begin to tinker with the electoral process, because they are almost onto it as we speak now. So that's my take.
Okay, Doc, in almost all the non-political parties in Nigeria, except the few ones that are others may call minor and so on. They are having these eternal wranglings and so on. Do you think this is going to create a chance for smaller parties like LP, NPP and so on?
Yes, but research we conducted on the role of the social media in influencing election results. We have discovered that there will be a lot of surprises in 2023. There wouldn't be this bandwagon thing we have known in the past. Somebody may vote for a person as a president in PDP and vote for another person as a senator in APC, depending on. So that is the way I'm looking at it. People are becoming wiser. The electoral law, as it stands today, is making it very difficult for people to rig elections. So we're even sure this time that votes will count.
Okay, that is to say, talking about political parties it is a mere sociological identification that has nothing to do with the real persons, So that is why people are now wiser and they may want to vote individuals.
That incident happened. I understand that it was a commercial driver. We had some altercations. He was having some problems with the road safety official. So I was trying to get in touch with one of my students who is also an official of the road safety to know actually what caused that attack. I know there was a disagreement. And if the disagreement, like you have said, is about collecting money, it's so shameful. It's so shameful because if you know the basis for establishment of road safety, it was Wolu Soyinka who brought the idea under Babangida administration. And it was a very fine organization that managed the situations on the road. Most of their job entails patrolling the road, ensuring that army, road safety, civil defense, custom concentrate at that one point. Because there's an interjection, there's a road coming from Owerri, there's one coming from Omuahia, there's this one from Aba, Port Harcourt, Azi. So all the officials come there, and if they are there collecting money, it's a very big disgrace, and more so killing somebody in the process of one life lost. It's a big embarrassment, and I'm sure that the officials of the road safety should investigate this. Police should come in, since army is there, to do a thorough investigation of what actually happened, so that such a thing will not repeat itself. This morning, as I was driving through that place, I didn't see the road safety again.
We have a call. Hello?
Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. You're welcome to Living TV Nigeria Today. May we know your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Paul.
Okay.
I'm calling from the collecting tax. Because there are some men, do they call them Apple or whatever, who stand there to collect people, blocking people for tax, as tax collectors.
Yes, I know sometimes there are the local government can send some of their agents to for rate collecting and so on. But as for tax, as we speak, I don't know. I don't know if there is a team sent to do that.
And it is it's only the state government and federal government that can collect tax. The local government can collect rate.
Yes.
But I think the point he is making, is alluding to, is the number of arboros all over the street. Yeah. And we have been talking about that tax collection need to be consolidated, and that people should be clear of what they are supposed to pay, and that we should.
Is to bring sanity to our roads, and which also means that their job will ensure that vehicles operating the road are in good condition, that they are not stolen. Government also makes money from each time they go for renewal. They ensure that your driver's license and is updated and all that, But we should be asking ourselves this question. Well, how did we, don't forget that road safety is also part of government's agents of coercion, But I don't see the legitimacy about allowing them to use weapons, guns or daggers on the road, So, but whatever led to that, they will make you pay government some, some level of tax, to serve as a deterrent to others. So, but this time around, I wouldn't know what led to this altercation that we involve the taking of somebody's life. So, I hope that because this thing has come into the public domain now, and government should really look at it, and take a holistic view, and possibly try to review the rules of the engagement of the road safety.
All right, Abia State University wins a JAM Performance Merit Award. It won the prestigious award with a prize of 10 million naira. And this award was given by the National Tertiary Admission Performance Merit Award in Abuja.
Yes, it wouldn't surprise. So if the university if funding can be upgraded for the university, they wouldn't be losing accreditation, and they would also be soaring higher and higher. So I commend the university for this feat, and hope that immediately the strike is called off, they will get back to their position, because Abia State University is about the 4th best performing state university in the country. So if you are in the 4th position out of about 100 or something universities, it is not a joke. So I commend them for that.
Yeah, even considering the academic situation in the nation generally, and which equally involves the Abia State University, and they were able to achieve this. I think, Ayo, what's your take on that?
Well, if I didn't quite get your question.
The Abia State University, they won an award, yeah. And with 10 million, naira in Abuja.
Okay, that Abia State University has a history of, achievements. I may not remember the year correctly, but
that's your alma mater.
Yes, that's my alma mater. The thing is that they had good lecturers then government was faithful, in their emoluments, and they were churning out very credible and dependable people, at least in the academia too. The schools competing very well in the university system. And I think it's
all right. Finally, before we go, the practicing lawyers in Anambra State, they have warned the federal government against the consequences of disobeying the recent United Nations demand to release the leader of IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu.
Yes, it's not only the United Nations. It is the position of the Igbos, as exemplified by the elders that approached Buhari for the release of the elders and the groups that are working for his release to double their efforts. So let them intensify their efforts so that even before this election, the Yoma will be out.
Do you think there's anything the Igbos are not doing right? Because Igbo, who was also arrested for almost the same charge, has been released.
No, he hasn't been released.
Igbo?
Yes, he's in Benin Republic. They haven't released.
He's in Benin Republic?
Yes, in custody.
The OPC and the...
Three angles, What led Nnamdi Kanu? Why is he confined in detention? That's one. Number two, the government actually find his organization culpable, and why? Number three, the ethnic region where he comes from. You see, the very issues surrounding his situation is that, you know, he's a freedom fighter. So he's a political prisoner. So, and then if the world body had said that IPOB, you know, the organization which he leads, that they are not criminal, and for right now, why would government, Nigerian government, you know, designate them criminals, you know, and not be kept behind bar for this long? Let him have his freedom. But I also read somewhere in the dailies that about 53 northern groups said they are not going to release Nnamdi. Raising up the question, you know, of ethnicity. Is it an ethnic issue that led Nnamdi to be, you know, under government detention, or is it just the mere political issues that we know of? So, in the what you asked whether states are complaining about terrorism, that IPOB has been a terror to them, that the report came from the ethnic nationality body, that's Ohaneze Ndigbo, and also the Southeast governors. So why I don't think they have done enough. So because if they have been generating so much furor, you know, about this issue, the young man would have long been, you know, released. So they haven't done enough, really.
All right, Doc. The last time the United Nations, this same group now also gave the Nigerian government and asked them to release him unconditionally, and also demanded that he should be paid for the torture, you know, he passed through, and nothing has been done. I don't think that our people were supposed to follow it up from there.
But maybe quite unfortunately, they didn't follow it up. And we need to check what powers has the United Nations to give this kind of directive.
Okay. Intensify effort, and let us remember to continue to be our brothers. Keep on. Our wonderful viewers will be coming to the end of this program right now. Keep watching Living TV. Remember, tomorrow you're going to have your issues of environment. And remember, we've also talked so much about the Living TV Club. The Living TV Club will be on Saturdays. And then we are asking you to visit our office at #1 Georges Street, opposite Eziama Police Station, or Ikotegbene Road in Aba here. Visit there, obtain our form, and be a member of the Living TV Club, where you enjoy yourself, you and your families. A lot of issues will be discussed, stand-up comedians, and music. And I'm sure you'll be happy to be there. All right, today, from my far left again, those your discussants have been, thank you for being part of the program.
Thank you for having me.
And your anchor man, Chinedum Adiele, I say, don't touch your remote. Keep watching Living TV. Thank you until we come your way tomorrow.
Inefficiency and indiscipline is ruining the country now. Corruption save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Which way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh, sure, sure. I want to know. Yes, I want to know. Which way Nigeria is heading to? We made mistakes during the oil boom, not knowing that was our doom. Some people now have everything, while many, many have nothing. Let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't fall. Which way Nigeria? Sure. Let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Where to go? Oh, sure. I want to know. Yes, I want to know. Which way Nigeria is heading to? Our ambition to be millionaires is running the country down. We all want to be millionaires and to live in the air. Oh, let's save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't die. Save Nigeria, so Nigeria won't die. Which way Nigeria? Which way? Which way Nigeria? Heaven and earth will pass away. It is written in the book of God. The good people we shall find their way. Which way Nigeria? Which way? Which way Nigeria? Which way to go? Which way to go? I love my fatherland. Oh yeah. I want to know. Yes, I want to know. Which way Nigeria is heading to? One more time. Which way Nigeria is heading to? Let's save Nigeria. Which way Nigeria is heading to? Oh yeah. Which way Nigeria is heading to? Which way Nigeria is heading to? One more time. Which way Nigeria is heading to? Amen.